Hey, how you doing? Welcome back. Today we're going to talk a little bit about stallions, bloodlines, a bit more about breeding. Actually today I'm going to make this film specifically for Lynn, who's one of our patrons and who actually has a, I think, 14-year-old mare out of Heltondale Polly Perkins VII, who's no longer with us. But Lynn specifically asked for a little bit about bloodlines because she's really interested in that. So I want to talk a little bit about the stallion. Stallion's half the herd. We're lucky because our stallion most of the time runs out, but a lot of breeders having to keep a stallion, keeping it in a lot of the time. It's a lot of work keeping a stallion. As I say, we're lucky because ours runs out on the fell. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the stallions that we've had, why we've chosen them. And today I'm actually going to take a mare and a young colt, a little delta, who's now about 6 weeks old. We're going to take him back up to the fell, and I'll explain a little bit about why we're going to do that later on. So let's go and catch him. So before we talk about stallions, I need to talk about the mares. So here we got Hazel Pat II in the background with little delta, who's, as I said, 6 weeks old. And I have to think about the mares before I think about the stallion. So usually what we're doing is, when we're choosing a stallion, we're looking for something that's going to bring some qualities to the mares that we're lacking. And we also, with these mares, I have to think about the fact that some of my mares are FIS carriers. They carry the foal immunodeficiency syndrome. This is Teddy. He's not supposed to be in the film today. Pat here, Hazel Pat, with little delta. Pat is clear of the FIS, foal immunodeficiency syndrome. And because my stallion Geronimo is a carrier, that means I can mate these two together. Also, her daughter Lucky I can use. And what that means for my herd is, because I don't usually have them foaling every year, I have different mares foaling. It means that the other years I need to borrow a stallion that's FIS clear, which means I can use him on the rest of my mares. Now this year, unusually because of lockdown, has meant everything's had to change. And I brought this one down actually off the fell. After the last film you were seeing that we lost a young foal, so I brought this mare down just so I could keep a close eye on the foal. And if I want foals next year, I'm going to have to turn this one back out with the stallion. So we're going to take her back up the fell today to meet Geronimo. He's up there already with Lucky. And we'll go and talk a little bit more about what we're looking for in the stallion. The other benefit of me turning Pat out with Geronimo is that I'd actually like another daughter from Pat. At the minute I have Lucky Pearl, and actually quite a few, kept a few from Lucky, but I'd like another filly out of Pat, and especially one by Geronimo. Great little colt, nothing wrong with him, but I'd like a filly to keep for breeding down the line. Shouldn't be any trouble loading Pat into the box. Obviously the little foal has never been in a box before, so let's just see what happens. first stallion I remember was Haidsill Charlie, a proper little fell standing no more than 12.3. Charlie was rock hard and full of character. One week Charlie might be pulling a boat up to Appleby, the next he'd be snigging timber, or he might be dragging bracken on a coppice sledge to make potash. When I took over the ponies in 1995, Walter was using Lountwaite Drake, a big, strong and confident black stallion who pulled a boat-up wagon over the Kirkstone Pass on the way back from the Stallion show at Dalemain. And my best line right now comes through Pat, whose sire was Lountwaite Drake. In the early days I had a lot of help and advice from Bert and Carol Morland and used both Loonsdale Mercury and Loonsdale Tarquin, a grey. Back then I didn't even know what I was looking for, but I knew the Loonsdale ponies had it and brought a touch of class to my breed, and to a certain extent, if I wanted a stallion from Bert, I had to take what I was offered. And when I was looking to bring back Heltondale bloodlines, I went to see Andy Thorpe at Wellbrow, whose stallions Rambler and Rover were Heltondale through and through, from Heltondale stock bought at Sarge's dispersal sale in 1995. So we're just going through the fell gate. Geronimo the stallion is up here with Lucky Pearl, Pat's daughter. Stallion's obviously going to go a little bit way when he sees Pat. The foal is big enough and strong enough now to look after itself, get out of harm's way, and the mare will be very protective of the foal, I have no doubt about that. And although it's really nice to have the foals at home, it's also really nice to see them out in the fell where they're supposed to be. Look at him, huh? Here comes, get him, look. Here comes Lucky. I always find it really amazing watching the dynamics of the herd, watching the stallion dance around his mares, and the instinct kicks in straight away, with one of the mares always putting herself between the stallion and the foal. What were the choices? How do we get to keeping Geronimo? I'd been borrowing stallions, as I said, from Bert Morland and from Andy Thorpe, so Wellbrow and Loonsdale stallions, and that had been working out really well actually. And because I was able to give the stallions back, I'd borrow them for a few months, run them with the mares, and then give them back at the end of summer, which is great for me. No work to keep them through the winter, and it's, you know, it's hard work when you got, as you know, ponies stabled means work. And we were at the sale looking for a little driving mare for my dad, who is well into his 80s, and we wanted a really quiet mare. He still wanted to drive, and none of the mares we had at the time were that quiet. And into the ring came this little mare, Irwin's Ruby, and I've known Dennis Irwin for a long time, and he breeds some very good ponies. And Irwin's, they're very distantly related to all of our ponies, and so anyway, we came home with a little mare, and as it happened, she was still a little bit much for my dad, so we turned her out with the stallion, who at the time we had Loonsdale Tarquin, grey stallion, and the following year, born up here, just over that little ridge there, we had this little grey foal, Geronimo, and I'd always wanted to call the stallion Geronimo, and I just liked everything about him. So we kept him as a yearling, see how he turned out. A 2-year-old, 3-year-old, still looking really good. So I had him licensed as a 3-year-old and ran with mares, and so now he's a homebred stallion that I can run with my mares that are all clear. So we're looking at conformation, how he's put together, and I like him because he's actually a very similar stamp to what I've got going already. Got a good thick chest. He brings a little bit more feather actually, although he lost a bit of his mane last year, rubbed a load off. Temperament, he's got just such a good temperament. He's always been such a gentle pony, which is very, very important for us. Even as you've seen, just introducing him back to the mare and foal, it's just all settled down within a minute. Everything's just all quiet. Bloodlines, he's far enough related, far enough away. So one of the questions Lynn wanted to know was about how many foals we have a year, how we make those kind of choices. Well, when I first took on the ponies, we had 30-something horses, and there was just too much. And I've got it now down to size where if I've got 6-7 mares with foals, half of those having foals every year, it's manageable for me. It's a good number for me to manage. I can stay on top of it. Over the last 10 years I've let a couple of bloodlines go for different reasons, and I've got it down now to these particular bloodlines, which are all a certain stamp, as I keep talking about the stamp that we have. So it's partly about numbers, it's partly about finances, it's partly about how much time I have to put into the horses. And I found it just works for me like this. I don't like it when we don't have foals. I like to have foals every year. It's just nice having foals around. They're not going to let him anywhere near. So as ever, thanks for watching. Leave us a message if there's anything you would like us to talk about in any of the future films. And please let all your friends and family know about our Patreon page. We do really value your support. Thank you.